Hey everybody, I just want to show you how to install a nicheless light on a vinyl liner swimming pool. Um, so this process is, pretty complicated with these nicheless lights. Um, we've already gone and installed the one in the shallow end, and I'm sure my camera guy will get some clips of that as we're talking, but no big deal. So what we want to do to this one here is we're going to rebuild this light. This is a nicheless light here. It's called an Aqua Lumen 3. So these are not the most pleasant lights to work with by any means. Um, but basically, the piece on the front right here, it's all cracked, and so we're gonna go and we're gonna replace all that. And I'm gonna show you how we do that. So this piece here is basically like a cone, and that piece kind of sits on here. In order to install this piece, you have to slide it through the wire. So let me just feed that in through real quick. Okay. So at least that way it's ready to go. We'll leave it off to the side there. So now, in order to change this, basically there's screws all throughout. So those are those screws here. Now we only need to take off a certain number of screws initially. Put it on low gear. So we'll take these two screws out here all the way. And now these ones you only need to loosen just a little bit, and then you can actually slide and twist the piece off. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Again, this is an Aqua Lumen 3. See, that's all stripped. That one's going to be a little tricky taken out. I think that's all. Alright, so now what you can do is you can actually take that, you can spin it, and slide it right off that way. So now we'll take all those screws off. We'll put them in a pile. Now the kit does not give you new screws, so if these screws were ever completely destroyed and unreusable, you'd probably have to buy a new light at that point, I'm guessing. So that one that was kind of stuck in there, that came out. Okay, so that's the old one. You see it's all rusted, it's all broken. So we're gonna replace that. So now we're also gonna replace the gasket on the lens. If you look inside, it's all kind of rusted and corroded. So if you just take a very small flathead screwdriver, you get it under there, you can just kind of pry that lens out gently. Now you don't want to go touching that light bulb. This would be a good time to change the light bulb, but we know that this light bulb still works. And customer chose to keep that one. So we'll pop that old lens off. I'll just dab a little bit of Goo Gone on a rag here and just kind of wipe off. I'm going to give everybody a helpful hint. This is a helpful Steve Got a Pool hint. A lot of times with these vinyl liner pools, sometimes you get residue, sticky stuff on the liner, and you need to wipe it off. The best product to use is Goo Gone. This is Goo Gone. Do not use Goof Off on a vinyl liner pool. It will smudge your liner. Goo Gone only. Never use Goof Off. I don't have a picture of Goof Off because I don't carry Goof Off. But if you see Goof Off in the store, don't buy it. Goo Gone is the only product that you can take with a rag on a vinyl liner and it will not smudge the liner. Helpful hint. Okay, so we're just going to take that rag and we're going to kind of clean any of that gunk off of our light lens around the outside here. Obviously you want to check the lens for cracks. And then we'll also clean the inside here very carefully, not touching the actual light bulb itself. just kind of getting any of that little gunk off. Okay, so now we have our gasket. And the way to do it, taught by Tom the magician, is lay it in there first. Now the lens actually has a north and south on the lens and the light, so you want to make sure everything's aligned properly that way, you know, top and bottom. It says top right on the light lens. You can tell with the screw hole with the mounting that that's the top, so you just want to make sure that that's right. So then the lens kind of just slots right in there. And now this piece goes right on, like so. Oh, that's right. We put these little screws on first. I almost missed an important step. This is really important. It really helps with the mounting of this, so that the lens can kind of stay in its spot. So now these are machine thread screws. Sometimes it's, you know, probably a good idea to clean some of these, you know, with WD-40 and stuff like that. But we're just gonna keep going for entertainment purposes. Now I'm leaving north and I'm leaving 2 out. I'm not putting them all in, just leaving 2 out, because those will get put in afterwards. Just want to make sure I'm not cross-threading anything. Okay. So now should be able to slide those into the hole, twist it and turn it. Now at this point I can flip the light over. Put these 2 screws in here. A little tighten. I don't want to over tighten at this point. I just want to kind of give it a little bit of a snug. I'm going to switch screwdrivers just to get this one in here. Just tighten that all down. So at this point it's probably best to use a hand screwdriver to do the tightening of this. So that way you can kind of feel the tension, the torque, all that stuff. Just kind of can tell if you're tightening everything down properly or not. You never want to force the screw. If the screw's not going in smooth, you might be cross-threading. You're probably doing some damage. Everything's going good. It would be nice if they gave you replacement screws for this step though, when you're buying the kits. And I don't know, I feel like that's something that gets overlooked by those high-paid engineers. Now these are, you can tell these are copper screws. Those get corroded over time. I don't know, it's just my opinion. So anyway, the last step is to take the cone that we already slipped on. It has these 2 little grooves on the bottom. You want to align that way. You just kind of get it, force it over the, and that's it. So that's a new, it's got a, you know, you can see the old one, the color difference. Simple little step that just kind of, you know, makes the customers happy, makes the customers feel important. So now the next step is going on the on this light here. All right, so we're right here. So now we need to install our mounting spacer bracket here. What do they call it? Mounting spacer. So it has a front and a back. Basically, you know, the lettering and everything like that, that would be the front. This is our mounting bracket for the light. And basically there's a little hole, little nub, just kind of clip that on so that way it can't kind of fall off. This is what it looks like north and south. So I just want to show you a close-up on this thing here. So in order to this is another helpful Steve got a pool hint. When you're doing lights, all lights will have a grounding or a bonding, not a grounding, a bonding lug. And I'm told there's a difference. So they ship you a new bonding lug in the kit. They ship you new bolts for this process. However, they don't ship you new bolts for the seal on the light. It's kind of odd. But there's a spot on the thing, it says lug. So the lug would be sitting like this. Okay, so now we're going to be, we put these bolts on all four corners. They give you lock nut washers and everything like that. I use an awl to find the hole on the wall. And then once I do the top two, once I've found the top two, I get those kind of started, and then I kind of can keep doing the rest of them. And that's pretty much how this goes on. And the little hole in the middle right here, we'll after we get all these installed, we'll cut the hole out. I'm hoping I can retrieve the string that's in there. On the one in the shallow end, we lost it, and we tried running an electrical snake through the conduit. We kept hitting a roadblock on either end. We tried feeding it on that end. We tried feeding it on that end. We couldn't get our snake to go through. I seen a YouTube video. We take a string and a vacuum, and we actually sucked the string line through the conduit so that we were able to pull our wires back through, because we want to have our grounding wire and our light wire. So enough talk. Let's get that done. And I kind of explained how I'm going to go about doing it, so hopefully that helped. And like I said, the step is to get this mounting spacer screwed back on the wall. And I'm sorry I can't show you what the actual housing on the steel wall looks like, you know, on the other side of the liner. I'm sure it looks a lot like one of those return fixtures. Alright, so let me just kick all that stuff out of my way. So I'm going to find the center of the hole. I'm going to find this center of the hole with my finger. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to try to find this hole right here. So I know it's right up here. And now I can feel that hole with my finger. I take my awl and I poke a hole. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I'm working with machine thread screws. And those have very fine, you know, threads, very fine knurls inside, and you just can't force those. So now now what I do is I kind of come across, and now I'm feeling for this one here where the lug's gonna be. I'll come right here and I'll just poke a hole with my awl, and now I can see my two holes where I need to be. Let me just, there we go. 7/16. So if anybody's wondering, a 7/16 nut driver is what I'm using right here. So I'm going to go to this first one here, stick my bolt through the hole, stick my nut driver on, and I'm going to come into that, and I can see the hole, and I can feel it's in there. Kind of put firm pressure. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to keep going till I know that it's grabbing. So once I feel that it's kind of snugged up, I'll stop. And I want to be able to kind of rock the plate one way or another. And I'm going to lean over a little bit. And I'm going to look, and I can see that my hole, I can see the hole that I made on the liner. Everything's lined up perfect. The bottom's still clipped on. So now we're going to move on to our next bolt. So I stick it through the, now actually this is, I want to put the lock nut on the other side of the bolt, so that way it's doing its job there. Alright, same thing. So I just kind of put that on there. You can kind of feel it pop into place. I got one hand on the lug, so the lug doesn't spin around crazy as I'm tightening it. And you just kind of keep putting pressure. Eventually it kind of grabs. Might take a few turns. Maybe I'll abandon the lug for a second there. Alright, so we're not grabbing. Where are we? I think we are grabbing it. Okay, we're on. Took a minute, sorry. So I just want to have the lug in that position. And I'm not going to really tighten it all the way, but close. So now I'll come and I'll take my awl to these bottom ones. Push in, confirm that I'm in the track, or in those knurls that are in there. And now I just put the bottom bolts on. We'll go in. Just kind of keep putting firm pressure, spinning, grabs. I'll do my fourth one here. Now, I don't know, I'd love to place bets after I cut that hole, if I can retrieve that string line that's in there. That was pretty exciting when we were trying to get the other one. I think worst case, if I can't find it, this one won't be that hard. I think the conduit probably does a straight run right in from that junction box. Where on this one here, we're probably dealing with a few more elbows. So I'm just, I'm putting these on about as tight as I would a faceplate screw. And I'll finish off with the one with the lug. It's very important that this lug is in the same position that it shows, otherwise the light won't sit properly. So you just kind of hold the lug with one thumb, and that's it. The mounting spacer is installed. So now we can cut out. This is just like cutting out a faceplate. I recommend using a good sharp blade, and just have two hands where you can, and just kind of guide the blade right around the inside of that. It's a very small hole. Okay, take a peek in. I see the string. I think I can reach in with some needle nose possibly here and retrieve it. Or maybe I stick a screwdriver in there. Let's see. I think I want to try my needle nose first. I think I see it. No, they're not gonna fit. Let me try to hook it with a flathead screwdriver here. I see it. I think I can get it with my needle nose now. I think what happened was the homeowner. I think the homeowner pulled on the string on the other end a little bit and pulled these in, not knowing what they were. He kept asking me what it was for. Alright, so now that I got that done, so basically the next step is I want to prep the green copper wire and strip it before we actually pull it in. Let's see. This side is already stripped. We'll keep it for that end. We'll run this end in first, but this will be our fresh I just want to not get tangled up for a second. Here, let me just pull this right out of the way. Take any kinks out of the copper, anything I can do to make sure it's being pulled back in smoother. All right. I definitely recommend having 2 people when you're pulling wires. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of snip one end so that it'll fit into that lug that's down there. All right, this is the end I'm gonna be holding on to. So now I got to tape on to the end of the string both of these wires. So I'll feed this into the pool. You know, in some situations when you're doing this, you know, like you get some dish soap really, you know, grease it up a little bit. I like to throw the wire in the water, just kind of lube it up. You know, you don't want to just shove these wires in dry, if you know what I mean. Alright, so this is the end we're going to be attaching to the string. I'm holding on to this end. That's going to be the end that stays. And the electrical tape. 1 second, folks. I like to use electrical tape, but I think I left it down the other end down there. Let me go retrieve that. Yeah, Tom's got it. Tom the magician, everybody. Afraid to put the camera on himself, aren't you? Alright. So basically, I just want to tie the string off to all these wires, so. And then we'll be pulling them through. So I'll kind of just tape them all together like so. And then I'll take the string and I'll kind of go through all that again. And I'll tie a little knot here. And then I'll tape it up with this. I'm sure all the electricians out there are laughing at me, but that's fine. We just want to make sure that it doesn't pop off. Alright, so look, so now, alright everybody, so we got the wires all pulled out. I just kind of want to show you what we're looking at. So look, this was our green wire that came out, and I've attached it to this lug here. So what I'm going to do now is I want to watertight seal that connection there. So what we use is this Aquabond AB 1000 swimming pool potting compound. This is used by all electricians. The inspectors are always looking for this. This is something, you know, that as pool guys, you got to make sure you're doing things right. You don't want to kill people, you know, and if you don't have your things grounded and, you know, bonded properly, you know, people could get electrocuted when this is all turned on. So you just kind of work it around that connection, around that screw, and just kind of get a little healthy coat of that stuff. It's a little runny, so you just want to do a little bit area, come back to another area, just kind of get that around that connection. And they make this stuff that you can, you know, I have this Aquabond, you know, DM50 kit, gun that you use. They do make this stuff that you can mix with like a popsicle stick and apply it that way too. But I just wanted to show the important step of, you know, grounding your pool lights properly. And so basically we're just going to let that kind of dry a little bit. I'll shove this green wire, you know, through, or I'll have Tom pull that through a little bit, and then after that's dried a little bit, we can screw the light back on the mounting plate and we'll be done. We'll twist our wire at the junction box, and that'll be the end of it. And we're after here, we're going to drop a pump on our job for tomorrow, so stay tuned for that one.